For today's review, we have set 76922 BMW M4 G3 and BMW M Hybrid V8 containing 676 pieces. The set is currently retailing for $45 and released in 2024. Taking a look at the prices on Bricklink, if you want to purchase this set new, the average price is going to be around $49, and if you want to purchase it used, that average price is going to be $0 as there is no available used ones on Bricklink at the moment. For our minifigures, we get two minifigures. On the left side, we have the driver of the M4 GT3, and then on the right side, we have the driver of the M Hybrid V8. And I'm a big fan of the printing that both of these minifigures have. The minifigures also come with alternative headpieces. The GT3 driver comes with a black helmet, and the Hybrid V8 driver comes with a white helmet. And there is also the wrench accessory, which you can give to any minifigure. Spinning the minifigures around, we get some back torso printing where we have the BMW logo, the Motorsport logo, as well as the word Motorsport on the back of both torsos. So here we have the Hybrid V8. Now, before I talk about this vehicle though, I have to address something. That is that this set has not only one, not only two, but 3 sticker sheets for a total of 71 stickers. That is way too many for a $45 set. Now, I know why they went with this route, because racing cars have a lot of decals, and printing all those pieces is definitely excessive. So there definitely should be stickers in here, but there shouldn't be 71. I feel like they could have printed a good amount of these pieces for us. I think the logos and the windscreen pieces for sure. But even if they didn't print the logos, the windscreen piece, which is my biggest issue, is something that they could have printed. If we take a look at this windscreen piece, this thing has 6 stickers on it. You have one here, one here. These are 2 different stickers. So you have this bottom one and then this top one. And then on the other side, you have the same thing on the other side, but different colors. So that one's a sticker and that one's a sticker. That's 6 stickers on one windscreen piece alone. They could have printed that for us. That's too much. I feel like the windscreen piece is the one thing that they need to print for us because it just looks better when it's printed. Having the stickers and having to put them on is just ridiculous for that windscreen piece, okay? So that's the one area I think that they should have definitely printed for us. Besides like anything with a logo, I feel like anything with the logo should have been printed as well. But again, it's more debatable because it's decals and stuff like that, but definitely the windscreen pieces should have been printed. So now that that's out of the way, let's actually take a closer look at the car and see what it actually looks like. I mean, I think it still looks great, right? These stickers obviously add a lot of details to it, and that's a good thing. But again, there is just way too many stickers. No hubcaps on this vehicle. I feel like they got the overall shape almost perfect. It's definitely missing some stuff on the vehicle itself, but it still looks very good. A lot of those added details with the stickers are nice. And then again, on this side, more stickers, but again, the shaping is still done pretty well as well. And then you have the back where you have some stickers for the brake lights is what I would assume these are. And then the spoiler, of course, and all that stuff. But there is some issues with this, and it mainly lies in the fact that this is an 8-studded vehicle. Again, this is like 8 studs is a norm now, so it's going to stay that way. And I feel like if they go up any higher than that, it's like, let's say 10 studs, it'll be too much. It'll get much more expensive and less accessible. So I feel like 8 studs is the sweet spot, but this still has issues. This vehicle in images, it's definitely a lot wider than this right here. This is definitely too thin of a vehicle. So it should be a lot wider because there is spaces between this and the actual windscreen piece in the actual images of the vehicle. Now, these pieces here where the wheels are under, or they should definitely be taller. At least one plate, I would say. They should be at least one plate taller. So these would be higher, and that would happen across all 4 parts of the vehicle. And I think the windscreen piece should definitely be taller too. I feel like it's a lot taller as well, so that it could kind of stay at the same scale of these being at the same height here, but these should definitely be taller along with the windscreen, so it looks more accurate to what's seen in the images of the vehicle. The next big thing that's an issue, or an inaccuracy I should say, is the spoiler. The spoiler is definitely too thick back here. They definitely could have made it thinner. They're trying to keep it accurate to the back because this piece right here is present in the back, but I feel like that's something that we could have done without, and they could have made the spoiler thinner back here so that it would have looked better. I feel like it's just too thick of a spoiler for what we have, at least for the size of the vehicle, I should say. And they could have just gotten rid of this plate back here with the studs and just had two of these big tile pieces here. Obviously one having the sticker and the other one just not having any at all. And that would have been super thin and it would have looked a lot cleaner in my opinion as well. Now the vehicle itself does have an interior. So if you turn this just a little bit, you can pull off this whole piece and then you have an interior in there. So if I can get a good source of lighting in here, you can see that there is a little controller in there with some prints in there, so that's pretty nice. But that's really the only thing that's going on. Other than that, it's just a one seat vehicle, which makes sense. It's a racing vehicle, right? But you can also fit a minifigure in here, of course. So if we take the driver of this vehicle and sit him in there, he can sit in there just like that. And that's kind of how it looks with the windscreen off and a minifigure in there. One thing though is, obviously I know that this is a racing vehicle and normally the drivers are going to have helmets on, right? But if you leave the hair on the minifigure and try to put the windscreen back on, there is a gap right there, which this could have easily been fixable by making, the windscreen taller, or by making the part that the windscreen sits on taller as well. But I think making the windscreen taller would have been the better choice here, because that gap shouldn't just be there. It's kind of ugly. You don't really notice it too much if you just have it sitting as a display piece, but if you were to have a closer look at it, of course it's going to be noticeable. But if you are planning on having the helmet on him, you can put the helmet right on him there, and you put the windscreen back on the vehicle, and that sits perfectly fine, as you can see right there. So no gap, right? So again, this makes sense because the drivers aren't going to have their hairpiece while they're driving, but it's more unique to me to have the drivers with a hairpiece. It just makes it look nicer in my opinion, so I usually like going with that route. So it's kind of a shame that he doesn't fit with this hairpiece literally by the smallest increment that you can have. So it's kind of a shame that that's the case, but it is what it is. And again, this vehicle does roll, so we do have some rollability here, as you can see right. Well, let me turn this back. As you can see right here. The other car you get in the set is the M4 GT3. Now this for me is personally the reason that I purchased this set. I like the look of this car a lot. It's going to have a lot of stickers for the added detail, but there's not much we can do about that. Now the vehicle itself doesn't have any hubcaps, but the actual shape of the vehicle is very accurate to what's seen in images of this vehicle. Detailing on the nicest side as well. Here's a logo sticker as well. And then this here is interesting, okay? So they made it so that these pieces in here look like they're connected to this right here, and it's it's essentially like an exhaust. But I think this is illegal, if I'm not mistaken. So just to get a better look at it, let me grab this book here, the instruction manual that is, and we can take a closer look at it and how it's built. So here it is, right? Essentially, you take this tile piece, put it on a stud, and then just sit it in there, and then it just kind of sits there, right? And it's just held by essentially all the other pieces around it, which I'm pretty sure is illegal. I'm not too big of a fan of that being there. It does look cool, right? It makes the car look a little bit more realistic in terms of the details, because you can see it kind of like going down and then funneling out through there. So it does make it look cooler, but I don't really like that it's just kind of sitting there, right? It is held in place, so I guess I can let it slide in terms of that, but nah, I'm not sure how I feel about it being an illegal technique in a standard Lego set. And you know what, it may not be a legal technique, but it sure does feel illegal to me. Moving on from there, right, we get to the lights. The lights are very cool to me. I like how they're not stickers or not prints. They're just kind of built into the car, which makes more sense to me. It looks cooler with the translucent yellow there. More stickers on the top for added detail, which is nice. You have some logos there as well. The windshield, again, this is a sticker. This could have been a print and it would have been a lot cooler, but they went with the sticker route, so can't do too much about it, but it still looks very nice, very clean actually. Another cool building technique, which I thought was legal, it's actually not. is this in here. So these are just kind of sitting in some studs in there. So let me show you that technique in the booklet as well. So here we have the technique, right? So you take the plate, the little tile plate, and you like stuff it in between some studs, and it's just held there. Now, the reason it's not illegal is because it's not actually putting any pressure on the bricks. So it's like not causing any stress. So that's the only reason it's not illegal. But if it was like a plate with studs on it, if this tile piece had studs on it, then it would be illegal because it would be causing stress on the pieces because it would be pushing them outwards. But the fact that this isn't illegal is very interesting to me. I thought it was illegal when I was first building it. And I was like, and I had to look it up, and it turns out it isn't. But it's pretty cool. But at the same time, I don't know how I feel about it just being held in there by not really a proper connection. It's still cool though that they use that technique to kind of get the shaping in here, because this is part of the vehicle in the images, right? This is again a vehicle that suffers from the 8 studs. It should be a little bit wider in terms of what you look at in real life and then what you have here, but I feel like it doesn't actually suffer too much. I still think it looks very good, considering it doesn't have the exact width that it needs to have. On the left hand side of the vehicle here, more stickers, more tiling to give it that nice shape. And then moving towards the back, you also have these lights that are built into the vehicle as well, which is nice. I still like this technique. I kind of hope they do this going forward because it looks better to me, in my opinion. The printed stuff is cool, but it just doesn't have that added detail or, you know, the ability of being built in a way that makes it look super cool. We have this printed piece back here with the BMW symbol. And then we have the spoiler. The spoiler is inaccurate to the vehicle. It's definitely too wide, but this is also like the thinnest they could make it while having the details that it has. So on the top, it has a sticker, but on the bottom, it also has 2 stickers. And you can't really make a piece like this any thinner because of how it has to be built, right? There's no piece that is tile on both sides because then it has no connections. So this is the only way to build this. And I don't mind it too much. It actually doesn't look super terrible. On the top of the vehicle, we do have this antenna, which you do see in some images. There is different iterations of the car. I would have preferred if this wasn't up here. It just kind of makes it look like an RC car, and you can't take it off, but I don't really like messing with the instructions we are given. So the next thing that we're going to take a look at is the interior. So all you have to do is take off this windscreen piece, put it off to the side, and then you have access to the interior. So the right side is not going to have an extra seat, but this is common in a lot of race cars. I'm not entirely sure for the reasoning. It's probably for support so that the vehicle doesn't get completely destroyed or anything like that. But I'm sure there's it's more profound than that alone. We also have some interior details. As you can see, there is the steering wheel, which has some print on it. You also have 2 computer pieces. So you have one right behind the steering wheel there, and then you have one in there as well, which is pretty cool. Other than that, though, just a seating area for the minifigure. So if I take the driver for this vehicle, you can sit them in there, and then that's kind of how they look without the windscreen piece. But this does suffer from the same issues as the last vehicle. If you want a minifigure to sit in there with their hair on, it's not really going to sit very well. As you can see, there is a gap. So that is a shame. But again, they probably had the same testing where they have the minifigures with their helmets on, because a driver is usually just going to have a helmet on in vehicles like this because they're probably going to be racing that vehicle. But if they have the helmet on, of course, there is no gap, which is nice. But again, I would have preferred if they did have, or if they could at least fit the minifigure in there with their hair and there wouldn't be any gapping issues. And the last thing that I want to showcase is the rollability of the vehicle. So again, here's everything you get in set 76922 BMW M4 GT3 and BMW M Hybrid V8, containing 676 pieces, retailing for $45 US and coming out in 2024. Now, as always, the question is the set worth the price point? If you want to talk about price per piece, then we're talking about 0.067 per piece in this case, which is a pretty good value. But if you want to look at the end result at the final build, then what you have here, I think, is still worth that $45 price point. There is some negative stuff, but first let's talk about the minifigures. I think the minifigure selection is good. You get 2 minifigures, 2 drivers for 2 cars. That just makes sense. The torso printing that they have is great. I think that fits very well. Of course, they come with alternate headpieces, so you can have a helmet on them and you can have the headpiece. Me personally, I prefer the headpiece, or the hairpiece, I should say. So that is good in itself. Then we have the vehicles. Me personally, I really only got this set for this vehicle right here, the GT3. This vehicle, if you compare it to the real vehicle in terms of accuracy, like size and stuff like that, it has a lot of inaccuracies. And I think that this vehicle does suffer from that. It should definitely be a lot wider, and it's missing a lot of the kind of realistic things that the real vehicle has. So that is a shame. I still think it looks good, but it does have a lot of inaccuracies. I will say that. There's also the thing about the stickers. There is a lot of stickers. They definitely should have gave us more prints, and I will stand behind that. They should definitely give us more prints, and we shouldn't have to have 71 stickers be placed on a set that's $45. That's just something that shouldn't happen. But even though there is a lot of stickers and that this particular vehicle has a lot of inaccuracies, that doesn't mean the vehicle itself is bad. It's still a good vehicle. The biggest issue that I have with it, besides, you know, the windscreen not being printed, is the fact that you can't fit a minifigure in the cockpit with his hairpiece. I just think that should be a kind of a nice little addition that we should have, and it's literally by the smallest margin too. With the right change up on things, they could easily fix that. So it is a shame that they just didn't go the extra mile and went ahead and fixed that for us. There's also this car. I think this car is definitely the stronger of the two, the GT3. It's a lot nicer. It doesn't suffer as much from the 8-stud width of it. I think that that's one of the good things of that vehicle. Obviously, if it was a little bit wider, you could be more accurate, but then it gets, you know, too big, more pieces, more expensive. And I think that we're just kind of at a sweet spot right now with the 8-stud width. Overall, the vehicle looks great. There's a lot of interesting techniques, as you saw earlier, with the exhaust and then the front portion area right here. So there is some cool techniques in it. Don't know how I feel about them because they feel a little bit illegal, or like they're not the most secure, but overall the set itself is still great. You get 2 nice cars, and I think overall it's worth it in the end. Of course, you always want to see sets, you know, cheaper, but I think that the piece value you're getting here and the actual builds are still very nice builds in the end. And that's going to conclude my review of set 76922 BMW M4 GT3 and BMW M Hybrid V8. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking the video, and if you are enjoying the content overall, consider subscribing. It is completely free and helps me out in the long run. Now, as always, I will see you guys in my next video.